We're in studio now with, of course, John Sawyer. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We're talking about the business world in Oakville, and obviously there's lots of things to come here. Heading into 2018, we're seeing a lot of changes in the business world. So why don't we first talk about businesses right here in our own backyards and some of the trends that we might see this year?
Hi, Kristen. It's good to be here. Thanks for bringing me in out of the cold. So I think the biggest trend we need to watch this year is the introduction of Bill 148, which is the biggest thing, or the most commonly known thing about Bill 148. It's provincial legislation to do with labor relations and employee relations between a company and its employees. And it affects the minimum wage. So we need to watch what that will do to the community. What I'm hearing currently is people are excited about getting a raise if they were getting the minimum wage, but their hours are being reduced, so they're actually not making any more money. So I think that will have an effect throughout the community, and we need to watch where that goes.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at those numbers as well, I mean, we've heard from the community where they're seeing trends like, say, daycare, some of the workers, their wages are going up, but also are the price of the services. So, you're looking at those types of trends, and I mean, is that something that we're going to continue to see with other businesses as well? Well,
I think an employer only has two choices. They can either increase prices or reduce costs, and I think they're going to probably try and do a balance of both. So we'll watch that trend through the year. I think the other thing that will impact business is the federal government will be making changes to tax law. So business owners will have to watch what the details are in those changes and see how that affects their income and their business. And of course, the other big one for this area are the NAFTA negotiations with the United States. In Halton, we do about $5 billion worth of trade with the United States. So it's huge numbers. Will have a great impact on the economy in Halton. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye on discussions around NAFTA.
Right, and I mean, obviously the biggest discussion about that and looking at local businesses here, I mean, we've got quite a bit of a manufacturing industry in our own backyards. I mean, we've got the Ford plant, and as well as we've got some local neighbors just right here by the Cogeco office.
Yes, and I mean, it doesn't just affect Ford. There are dozens and dozens of suppliers in the area that feed into the Ford plant, and based on the discussions that I've had with people who are involved in the negotiations, the automotive sector is the most vulnerable of all the sectors around NAFTA. So that's a concern, and we're going to watch that closely. Right. Now, the other thing related to trade is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We'll have to see how that gets revived and hopefully implemented in the near future to offset some of that trade with the U.S.
Right. Now, I mean, there is an update. I mean, people can hear from an economic specialist coming right here in our own backyards, and it's coming in a week or so. So you actually have the event coming up. For anyone who is interested, they can get tickets, and just some brief information for our viewers out there to hear what's going on. And I believe Cogeco usually films it as well. So
yes, it's one of my favorite events. It's our annual RBC Economic Update. We have the chief economist from the Royal Bank, Craig Wright, comes and gives his review of last year and his projections for what he anticipates to come next year. One of the things I really like is that we have a vice president from Ipsos coming, the pollsters, and he gives his perspective on what's driving the numbers. So we get the banker giving us the hard numbers, and then we have the pollster telling us what's behind the numbers, what's actually making them happen, and why people are reacting the way they do.
Fantastic. So for anyone who is interested in attending the event, there's still some tickets available. You're welcome to go, of course, onto the Oakville business website to get all those details, and it is taking place on Tuesday, January 29th, and that's the oakvillechamber.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll look forward to hearing some more updates in the next few months.
Thanks, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.